Hello everyone, welcome to another video of Casper WPF. In the previous video we talked about how to create rectangular windows with rounded corners, which even we have implemented the minimize and close functionalities. So in this video we are going to go further and create a custom shaped window rather than having a plain old rectangle window. And let me give you a sample of what we are going to create today. So if you take a look at this window, it has a good circular shape, and it looks really nice when you have a different form of the window rather than having a rectangle window. So this particular app, what we are going to create is has its own circular shape, and in the end of the video or next couple of videos we'll talk about how to create custom shapes apart from circle also. So let's stick with today's scope, and if you take closer look at the window, you have an animation running around the corners or the edges of the ellipse, which makes it really good to see. So the concept of this application, what I thought would be like, we'll create something like a sound recorder, and maybe we can build on top of the application that we create today. So as of now I have not implemented any close functionality, so we'll think about it in later videos. So we'll close it from here, and let's start Visual Studio. New project, and selecting WPF. I'm going to name it like sound recorder just for the current scenario. Give whatever the location you want, and we are going to create. So once it is created, if you were watching the previous two videos, the basic setup is really similar to those ones. We'll be setting a transparent window rather than having a non-transparent window, which allows us getting custom shapes into the window. So the first things first, select the window, and give the title as sound recorder. Not that it's going to be shown anywhere if you remove the title bar and go to the newer way of having circular window, but it should be showing around here like the title in the taskbar. So make the startup as center screen, go to brush, make it as background as null, and go to appearance, allow transparency, and we'll keep it down a bit, the height and width. So I'm having a square. As you can see, it's not filled with any, but it's better to have the border. Either way we have to set the extreme ends for the new application. So what we are going to do is we are giving it as a 250 by 250, and let's start by creating ellipse. So the ellipse, by default it's going to stretch it a bit, and we are not going to set height or width for the ellipse so that it's going to fill the entire area of our window. So what we are going to do is, instead we'll use stroke. So because that's what we have seen earlier actually. So if you actually look at the sample window, the one that you are seeing on the outer side is actually a stroke of a bigger ellipse, and there's one more ellipse on top of it, and the stroke is the one which is being animated with the gradient. So to get the stroke running, for this sake we'll take it up the stroke thickness as 10, and we'll set the stroke from solid color to gradient. And I have picked two colors of today, and you can pick any color scheme you want. So one is mild transparent black, and the other one is green. Alright, so since that is good to go, so we have the outer edge, and the ellipse is not going to have background. So we are going to create another ellipse with margin as 10, and we're going to close it. So since we have given the stroke thickness as 10, our inner ellipse we can give it like margin as 10 so that it aligns perfectly into the gap that is being inside. So this particular ellipse will keep the fill color as the same green, and if you take a look at that, actually we've done pretty much everything. Just the logo of mic and some few touch-ups here and there, and then we are good to go. So the first things first, so where do we see that logo? Is it an image, or is it something like different vector form? So it's always best to use vector form actually, because it doesn't pixelate when you resize the window. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to this particular website. It's run by Google, so Material Design, and I'll share this link in the description. So if you take a look at this, it's an open source license, and you have a wide variety of application icons designed and carefully placed over here. So you pick any of the icon, and make sure your style is round, and as soon as you pick the icon, you'll be getting these two options along with the size. So make it as a 48 dp, and you can save the svg file. So in order to search, I'm just using Ctrl F, and I'm just searching for mic. You get a couple of options over here, and even why I have given as round, right? We are creating a circular window. It's better to keep everything a little bit rounded at the edges. So even if you have a sharp one, everything you see, it's going to be a sharp edges. I don't know whether you're able to notice it. Maybe you can go through the website and see the differences between these themes, and based on the selection, your icon will be downloaded. So once you do the SVG, I have added it somewhere around in my desktop. So if you take a look at any of the SVG, go to right click, open with Notepad, you get some XML format. So if you actually split them, you will be seeing a path object with attribute called D, and I just want you to copy the value of the D. So I'm just going to copy it, and we are back to Visual Studio. So what we are going to use is, we are going to use path object, and there is an attribute called data. Paste the thing that you copied from the notepad and fill it as white, and as soon as you close the tag, the icon starts appearing at the top right corner, because by default this is where it's going to go until unless you specify the horizontal alignment and vertical alignment. So what we are going to do is, we are going to set it as center, and most of the icons that you get from the material website must be properly centered, unlike this one. So maybe we can set the height and width as to the same to make it a little bit square, and even if still you feel like it's a little bit went towards right, maybe you can give margin -4, 5. That should keep things in center. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to, this is not the right size of this proportion that we are building, so we are going to apply transform and go to scale. I think we can scale it around 3 in X and 3 in Y. So I guess this looks a bit similar and bit properly shaped size. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to add some shadow to the inner ellipse so that it stands out from the background, so it gives us a cool effect when you look at it running on the first time. So select the ellipse, go over to the properties, and under appearance you see there is a option called effect. Click on new and select the drop shadow effect. So as soon as you do that, the default settings for the drop shadow kicks in. So what we are going to do is, we are going to edit the drop shadow effect. Select the drop shadow effect and go to the properties and increase the blur radius around 10, and maybe you can get the angle right so that it looks a little bit good. Still actually the blur radius is a little bit lesser, so we're going to increase that till you get proper visual appearance. Okay, I think let's give it a try. I'm going to start the application. Let's hold for a moment. Okay, I think we got it. So the things that are pending is click and drag move, and maybe we'll apply the animation to the linear gradient so that it rotates properly. So in order to do that, go over here and into the first ellipse under the linear gradient brush, and you get to see under transform, not relative transform, under transform you get to see rotate option, and just to mention just give 10 so that it creates the stuff around here. The appropriate XAML code, and then you can remove the angle over here, and we'll give it a name like gradient rotation. Since we named it, we are going to, it will be easier for us to animate it later. We can easily catch hold of the element and then animate it, its properties. So there are few things to note. There are multiple types of animation that we are going to be learning in future, and today we are going to animate this particular property called angle. And if you hover around the property, you will see what type it is. It's a double. So we are going to animate the double property, and in order to do that, WPF has its own element called double animation. So we are not triggering externally to start the animation and everything. So go over to the last of the data under the stroke, just after the closing ellipse stroke. So create ellipse dot triggers. So this is what we are going to add the trigger, so that it triggers some things based on the settings that we are going to do. So that there are different type of trigger which we can do, like you can get a data trigger, or you can get a event trigger. So now actually we are not going to bind it to something else. We are just going to have an event trigger. So it triggers as soon as the element loaded. So we're going to add event trigger, and we are going to mention what event it is. So the event is loaded. So as soon as you do that, actually the event is loaded, like, so the visual appearance, until unless it gets loaded into the window, you cannot do any changes to the properties that affects the visualization. So we are going to do it after it's loaded. So that's what the routed event we have mentioned, and we are going to begin the storyboard. So if you are not familiar with the storyboard, and you are not familiar with the animation in XAML or in the backend, we'll keep that as a separate video, and we'll explain it a much simpler process rather than explaining it here, because it would again go beyond the scope of what we are doing as of now, which is actually getting a circular window. So just do as what I am typing. So we are beginning the storyboard, and inside you create a storyboard, and create a double animation, and you have a storyboard target name as gradient, what we named gradient rotation, and the storyboard target properties angle, and from 0 to 360, and the duration is how fast it's going to occur, or how long it's going to occur to achieve from 0 to 360. So if you are giving it as a 2 seconds, it's going to go really fast from 0 to 360. Or if you are giving it as a more time, like a longer duration, then the transformation is going to take slowly over the given period of time. So what we are going to do is we are going to give around 5 seconds. I think that would be better. And we have a repeat behavior. So because until unless you mention a repeat behavior, it's going to transform once, like 0 to 360 in 5 seconds, then it's done. It's not going to do anything at all. So what you are going to mention is we are going to give repeat behavior as forever. so it's going to repeat itself as soon as it ends. After 5 seconds it's going to start over from 0 to 360 again and goes on until the application is closed. So we'll close it and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think the animation comes pretty well. So the last thing we are going to do is we are going to apply the drag functionality, click and drag functionality, because that's the main thing between the existing default rectangle window. You have a title bar to drag, minimize and everything. But when it comes to custom shaped windows, you don't have that option. You have to implement it yourself. So we're going to click on the window and go to event handlers, mouse left button down, and give any name. I think you might have seen the same earlier videos. I'm not going to throw any message. And there is a function called drag move, which lets you click and drag the window. There you go. Actually it come pretty smooth. Alright, that's it for today, and the next video we'll talk about how to implement the click functionality for the path that we have given, and maybe we can add an intuitive close option to the UI, and then in future we'll talk about how to create the animations properly from fade in or fade out, stuff like that. So thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos.